So if you're a man getting screwed in a custody battle, one of the most annoying and worst pieces of advice is just forgive, move on, take the high road. She's the mother of your kids. It's advice like this that comes from people who have never worked with men in those situations that could just totally wreck your case, your parenting, your life. It will affect you legally, financially, being a father. Perhaps it could get you arrested. And so we're gonna talk about that while multitasking. Point of distinction number one. With high conflict, legally, therapeutically, mentally, the process is completely different. High conflict is a different type of custody battle. False accusations, involvement of CPS, spreading a false narrative, a lie about you to friends, family, trying to sabotage you, alienating and lying to kids is a completely different court case. And in the midst of this, mentally, it's difficult to be betrayed on this level. Strategically, legally, morally, therapeutically, we have to handle it differently. And if we just wing it with advice that we get from our pastor, friends group, our favorite online therapists, we are putting ourselves in massive danger that is gonna last for a long time. With high conflict, you have to get it right from the start, and any mistake, even a little one, is a big mistake. And I'm gonna tell you all of this while really respecting the idea of forgiveness, seeing the need for it, seeing how much of an important rite of passage it is for men. But as somebody who has worked with men for about 20 years now on this very situation, dealing with tons of different male traumas, the way that men are told to forgive is just ridiculous. So here's the basic situation. You're being betrayed. There's false allegations against you. There's parental alienation. You haven't seen your kids. You're in pain. You're hurting. You're trying to fight a legal case. You're trying to research about lawyers. There's a ton of misinformation. People telling you that lawyers suck, and they do, but if you need one, you got to be able to find the right one. And it's almost as if you can't just brush this off, you can't forgive for the benefit of your kids, look past it, forgive her because she's the mother of your kids, that if you're not doing that, somehow you're weak. And seriously here, like if you cannot get past this, make up with her, not look at how to defend yourself legally, you are somehow like a flawed man. You don't care about your kids, you're not looking out for your kids, and you just want to fight. Like as if your pain and your anger in all of this is a defect, and it's not. Now, as you may or may not know, I help men with custody, and we win a lot, and we have proof of it. I run groups of men with this, and it's the largest running group of men who have won custody for their kids that start out in high conflict, like false allegations, kidnappings, all these sorts of things. The idea that men get screwed in the family court system, well, part of that is true, but you don't have to lose, and there's things you can do. You have an uphill battle, but you can win. And so why this is all important is because so much of the advice that you're depending on right now is given to you from people who don't understand, one, the legal process, two, the pain, the reality and danger of your situation. And so that advice will harm you. And it's kind of crazy to believe because something so virtuous as forgiveness or taking the high road or caring for your kids, all these things make sense. But helping a man through this, through his legal case, through the therapeutic process, through the entire process of high conflict custody, taking the high road and forgiving too early, prematurely, can be catastrophic. Not because forgiveness is bad or because you don't love your kids. It's because when somebody is viciously trying to attack you with things that cause massive consequences, whether that's financial and gumming up the legal system, or it could put you in jail, parentally alienate you, have your kids hate you, and allow somebody's mental illness to dictate your family, that is the reality of what happens. Especially when somebody is betraying you, making up false allegations, it's usually a part of a bigger sequence that we see over and over again happen to men. I help men through that, and I'm gonna tell you this right now, forgiving too early and all the stuff that people say and tell you that you should do as a man and as a father and care about, it's not just wrong and dangerous, but it's disrespectful, defacing of the sacred to something so special as forgiveness, taking the high road, and loving your kids. Now, the reason why I say all that is because this idea about what forgiveness is and taking the high road and how it's just some masculine character flaw that you can't somehow get over, that she lied and made up that you're a sex trafficker and child abuser that will put you in jail while alienating you from the kids and telling the entire community that you are a scumbag and a horrible person and she's really being abused by you. The screwed up narrative to this false idea of forgiveness is that you're just supposed to get over that. And if you can't get over that, you are a lesser man and you're not able to see some sort of wisdom. This is the effing problem with people giving advice to men with real male trauma that don't have experience with it. And I just want to tell you, when you take that advice, you're going to do less for your case than what you need. You're not going to see reality. And with the legal system as effed up as it is for men, you're more likely to lose custody and get screwed financially, with your kids, with your reputation, with your job. You will lose as much as she will take from you because you bought into this BS false narrative of what the high road is. So I think it would be a good idea to stick around to the end on this, and the reason is this. I 100% agree with the high road. I believe in forgiveness. I believe you should work towards it. But not only is it unrealistic to expect men who are going through this sort of pain that they can just forgive like that and it's just some choice they make, it's disrespectful to a man's pain. It gives false information, and if you take that information, like I said, it's going to screw you in your court case. And the fact of the matter is in so many points of male trauma, not just divorce and custody. Here, I got to put this in. So not just in divorce and custody, in many, many points of male pain, there is misinformation given about what men are going through. Men aren't allowed to feel the necessary and deserved anger in this. And I'm not saying that to be an angry person is great, but what I'm saying is that the anger that you feel in this, all the feelings that you feel in this, they have a point, they have a reason. And you don't need to act on them, but you do need to process them. And if you ever want to get to what's on the other side of that, possibly forgiveness, you have to feel the actual anger now. You know, way back when I used to make all these vlog videos and nobody cared. I'm literally doing this video because I don't have the time. We have 3 hours before our call. Tonight's call is going to be 3 hours. And after that, I got to go get my kids. So bear with me. Taking the broccoli, cooks quicker. And now we'll have some food. The food of the gods is this. This is what they call guerrilla style filmmaking of food. Kitchen guerrilla filmmaking. You know, I'm not the neatest person here. That's what I get for trying to talk while doing this. So one of the common things that comes up on the calls for all of this is that all of our exes seem like the same person. Like, man, you were married to the same woman. When it comes to betrayal, deception, parental alienation, keeping kids from you, all that sort of good stuff, one of the things is not only are the women very often similar, the pain a man feels in that is brutal. That is also similar. And not only is, all right, let's do this differently. Man, that's some amazing white balance. They say it's polite to not talk with your mouth full. Whew. So every dad comes in saying, man, it sounds like you're describing my ex exactly. It's like we were married to the same person or dating the same person or had kids with the same person. Every single man that comes to me who's experienced any of this stuff feels disenfranchised, let go, let down, discarded not just by his ex, but by his friends and family around him who basically give him cheap, crappy advice of not understanding his situation. They get sick of hearing from him. They basically tell him that he's weak for not being able to change, that he should just be able to get over his relationship being screwed over, being accused of sexually abusing his kids when he didn't, or that it's not their problem. And I want you to think about this because we have a big, big billboard in our culture of understanding trauma, and especially female trauma, and if a woman is assaulted and all these things, which are terrible, they're terrible. When our society or people in our society tell them to shut up or empathize with their abuser or sympathize with their abuser, that somehow they're being overreactive about something that is truly bad, and because they can't jump to forgiveness, man, that is abusive, that's painful. And for men, we almost seem to bypass all of that. Let's also go to this. Every single guy that comes to our groups also has guilt. Not only are they angry and pissed off about being screwed over, not being listened to, about a court system screwing them over, just screwed over on all these different levels that they can't fathom it, there's also a side of all of that, while recognizing that they've been victimized, that they should be able to do better, and they would do better if they could. They blame themselves. Now, this is also seen as weakness, even by therapists. So male pain is not female pain. It hurts in a different way, it feels in a different way, and it's its own unique thing. The healing process is also different. Purging it is also different. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you wanna get to the road of forgiveness, if you really respect that, if you want to be a better parent, if this is important to you, you're starting out in anger, hatred, resentment, contempt, guilt, sulking, pity, and you need to be around other people for that. You know, it's proof in our groups what wins custody for men. It's not just the legal guidance that we give, it's that we take them through the therapeutic process. We give them a brotherhood. We have them work with specialized therapists that are there for our group. In fact, tonight's call is that. Literally half of the call will be working with a therapist who has expertise in male trauma, especially in divorce and custody battles. Straight up, if you cannot beat the mental game, you will lose the legal game. If somehow you can prove me wrong on that, you are a special person. And in all my experience, in all my years, I've never seen that happen. Food time. Look at how that turned out. This next point are the legal points that you have to hit. And there's a lot to this. I highly recommend getting in my 30 and 30 high conflict custody. And if that's not enough for you, look into my paid groups. They are amazing. The 30 and 30 is free. Legally in high conflict, it is out of control. And if you make one small mistake, it gets just insane. False accusations, CPS, parental alienation, all sorts of different abuse, psychological abuse. This is gonna take specialized legal help. And if you're going in pro se, you can, I wouldn't recommend it, it's very, very difficult. You still have to have specialized legal guidance in this. The laws are not normal, so this means a normal family law attorney is not the right person for something which is in high conflict. Now, the reason for that is because everything gets way more complicated and the process and the order matters. Meaning if you get something out of order, like for instance, if you have a temporary protective order hearing, but you're worried about child support, you're worried about her lying about this and that, you're worried about some sort of an affair, this doesn't matter. What matters is learning the process for your temporary orders hearing, because if that moves into permanent, you are screwed. Another common thing is when guys get blindsided by this, they're in a point of trauma and they hit a haze. So they can't think properly, fall behind on the legal stuff, they're not with a support group that can help guide them, they're not with people that can hear them, and so they negate the first part of the legal case. Every court tragedy that I see legally, where guys get just absolutely screwed, it's because they messed up in the beginning. The first two appearances, they didn't take it seriously or were not cognitively capable enough to take it seriously. Some rulings happened, it put them backwards. And just to get back to zero, they have this huge uphill battle to fight first. Legally, check out my other videos, please, but you need to be on complete point legally with anything high conflict. You cannot mess up. Some of the best advice to me was don't worry about forgiveness now. Do what you need to do legally, and if you need to make amends later, you can. That advice has worked for me and just countless others within my groups. Okay, let's get into this whole forgiveness thing. So forgiveness to me was a big deal in my entire process, and it'll probably be a big deal for the rest of my life. I think this water is a little bit too loud here, so I'll just perch up here. You know, there's a whole story to this, and I'll try and spare you of it, but basically when I started through my last process and all of this, I heard a monk talking about what forgiveness meant. It totally changed my perspective on things, and I didn't even think of it at the time, but years later, I would follow in a similar spiritual practice of what he was talking about. Now, the spiritual practice part isn't the important part, but I will tell you that almost every man that comes to our groups, you can be agnostic, atheist, you can believe in whatever you want, but this whole road will take you on a pretty epic journey. Now, what that monk had said was something to the fact of forgiveness isn't about, oh, I forgive you for this and that, and it's kind of some gesture. It was about getting rid of everything within you that could hold on to the hatred, the judgment, the resentment, the contempt for other people. And through that, you could live a life where you could see past wrong. And I sat there driving at the time when I was listening to this. I was actually driving somewhere in between Utah, Arizona, something like that. It was beautiful. And I thought, man, that's what I want to shoot for. It would be something that would potentially take the rest of my life, and I may not achieve it. And why I liked that was because it gave true meaning to what I was feeling. It gave true respect to the pain that I had. The pain went deep and it touched every single aspect about my life. What went on in that process and what mirrors just all the men in my groups, especially who win in this, is that if you are angry, you have to be angry. You don't need to act on it, and you shouldn't. You don't need to send a crappy text message. You don't need to voice hate all over social media. You should stay quiet about that. But what you can do is you can act hard legally. You can act direct and deliberate and do what you need to do. And although it may make you think that's some form of hatred or some form of you being extra mean and all these different things, you might need to do that for the process, and it literally might be the safest thing to do for your well-being, your kids' well-being, and also her well-being. Even if things don't blow up into some sort of tragedy and things get worked out in better ways, having clear guides and rules and consequence in front of people who are acting crazy, even if it's for one moment, which is what high conflict does. This brings order to everything and it's overall good. And like that early advice that was given to me, if you do wrong and you step over the line, man, you do own that. You can make amends later and you can learn how to do that. If we're caught up in apologizing when we're in conflict, especially, well, in so many ways being gaslit and deceived, the way that men are manipulated these days just ruins them. You've got to protect yourself. You just have to. So I'm going to make the argument here that if you love your kids, if you care about the high road, if you care about doing the right things in hard times, if you care about not living with hatred as your master, do what is statistically and in my mind through my groups provable the right thing to do that's best for everybody. Learn the laws, stop talking trash, get advice from the right people who've been through it, and learn how to win this legally. And I can tell you from my experience, your family, your kids will thank you for it later. And this video right here is going to help you get there.